This video is not super fun to make. However, I was encouraged to make it by the office of my congressional representative, which is a crazy thing to say out loud. Someone or something in the Trump administration wiped my existence from...
I think about a week ago, I made a video about people that traveled abroad, and when they get to their destination, they were told their passport was flagged missing or stolen, reported missing or stolen. And now there's a lot of videos online about people saying that they have been completely deleted from the database, like they do not exist in the passport database. So now I'm going to show you a few videos of people coming out to share their stories of how they weren't found in their database. It's almost as if they are non-existent, like their whole existence has been wiped out of the U.S. passport database. So now what is going on right now is people are getting deleted from the U.S. passport database. Instead of being flagged as missing or stolen, now it's being deleted from the database. So I'm going to show you the videos right now.
This video is not super fun to make. However, I was encouraged to make it by the office of my congressional representative, which is a crazy thing to say out loud. Someone or something in the Trump administration wiped my existence from the US passport database. Let me explain. On December 19th, 2025, I received a notice at 2:17 in the morning, local time here in Los Angeles, that my access to the Global Entry Traveler Program had been revoked. And the reason for my revocation was that I no longer met the requirements for the Global Entry Program. Now, the requirements are not having been charged with a felony, check, never been charged with a felony, having valid identification and documents, check, I have valid documents. My passport was not expired. And one of the last things on the eligibility list was not under investigation for terrorism. Well, that exact day, Pam Bondi sent a letter to the FBI requesting that pro-trans activists be labeled as domestic terrorists. I'm shaking. So, as many of you guys know, I am a pro-trans activist. I have worked with the ACLU during the U.S. versus Scrimeti case. I have a trans partner. I have a trans sister. I am very blessed to have many trans friends. And I have worked as a healthcare provider, providing gender-affirming care for trans youth. And needless to say, I freaked the fuck out. I did also contact friends of mine who are attorneys and friends of mine who work in the federal government. And I was told there is a chance that this could have just been a clerical error. And so for the sake of my mental health, I just went with that. And they told me to go ahead and apply to renew my passport online and see what happens next. So last week I did just that. And I applied on the US passport website to renew my passport online as it expires this coming year. I was then told that no one with my identity was found anywhere in the US passport system. At this point, I got in contact with my congressional representative and his office, and was told by one of the field staff here in Los Angeles that this specific notice was unusual and that there had been a record of clerical errors where people had been removed from the passport system because their passport was incorrectly marked lost or stolen. That is not what happened to me. And I was told that if that had happened, the error message that I received would have said that. It didn't. It said that no one with my identity was found anywhere in the US passport system. So, with the help of my congressional representative and his office, I am now waiting for an appointment with the US passport office here in Los Angeles to see what's going on, to see if there are any holds on my access to my legal documents that would allow me to travel and leave the country. And why this is happening, because right now no one seems to have a clear reason why. And again, it could be clerical error. However, knowing that I am allegedly the only person that this specific series of events has happened to, and also knowing that the Global Entry Program is a completely different governmental agency than the passport system, and that both of them had been alerted of me. I don't know. So that is my update for you guys. And if I go dark, I need you guys to be really loud. And if this continues to happen to people, or if this happens to you or someone you know, please get in contact with your congressional representative, and just know that there are pathways. And that also you are not alone, because I have been alone this whole time. I didn't think this was happening to anybody else, and I still don't know of anyone else that this exact series of events has happened to. So that is my update. Thank you for watching, and holy shit.
All right, so crazy fun experience I had today is I was driving and I noticed a cop bang a U-turn hard. Turned her blues on, came flying up behind me. So I parked in a bank parking lot just because it was out of the way and it's Sunday. And so I am sitting there. She walks up. She tells me why she pulled me over. It was because of a inspection sticker. Not a big deal, really. Asked for my ID, give her my ID. And then she comes back over after, 4 or 5 minutes. And she's like, do you have an ID in any other states? And I was like, yeah, here's the other states I've had IDs in. And so I'm not thinking much of it. I was like, okay, it must be a clerical issue or something. And she ends up coming back a few minutes later, and she's like, okay, can I get your social security number? I was like, that's a first. I've never had them ask for my social security number at any traffic stop, ever. So I'm like, okay, here's the social security number. Then like 5 minutes later again, she comes back. She's like, yeah, so I'm not pulling you up in any of our systems, in any state you said you had a license in. She's like, I had to call my sergeant. I was like, okay, well, we'll see how that goes then. So the sergeant ends up coming up. He asked me to step out of the car, but essentially plays back everything. And he's like, is this a real license? I was like, yeah, it's a real license. He's like, this is a real license from that state. I'm like, yeah, it is. He's like, so there's no like security codes or holographics or anything? I was like, I don't know. There's just the ID they give me. And I was like, I even have the motorcycle permit in my wallet still. So it's like, I have that one if you want to see that one. He's like, hold on then. So then they have me stand at the back of the cruiser. The officer originally pulled me over. She stands there with me while the sergeant's doing his thing. And I don't know, like 20 minutes later, he comes back over. He's like, I got it all squared away. You're all set. I was like, no, hold on. You just like basically told me I might be getting arrested, that you guys think I have a fake ID, which is another crime in and of itself. And I was like, basically, you guys told me you have no idea who I am or what I am, yet I gave you my license. What is happening? And then like, you asked for my social security number. That's never happened before. He's like, well, in all honesty, you can thank ICE for this one. I was like, what? He's like, your name. I was like, so because I have a Hispanic last name, I'm flagged in ICE? He's like, well, you're not just flagged, you're kind of removed from everything. So I almost got arrested because of a system with ICE flagging a U.S.-born citizen who spent my entire life in this country since the day I was born. 2 generations of my family have been born in the United States, and yet I got flagged. And the kicker is my last name isn't even Mexican, it's Spanish. So I am Hispanic, but the last name that we have is actually a Spaniard last name because my, grandfather had a thing for Mexican women, I guess. And he, so anyways, yeah, now I'm flagged. And he's like, yeah, this might keep happening to you now. Cool. Very awesome. So my little fun story of the day is I've been profiled. And, yeah, good times.
So it's Monday, and I have a story I'd like to share with you that transpired over the weekend that happened with my kids. It's very disturbing. It's worth a like and a share, especially if you know people that are traveling or if you're traveling anywhere out of the country with your United States passport. So both my kids, adult children, 21 and 22, were spending the weekend, the holiday weekend in San Diego. My son was leaving Thursday. My daughter was leaving Friday. My son on Thursday called me and said that he had an issue at DIA with his ID, saying that I was going to need to overnight his passport because they're telling him that he needs a real ID. I was a little confused with this because I was under the impression my son had a Colorado ID, but he does not. He had a California ID, which was a real ID certified. So no problem, overnight his passport, he gets it, whatever. I, at this time, am preparing for a trip to southern Colorado. I'm going camping. I'm going to be off grid. My daughter, the 22-year-old, is slated to leave to San Diego on Friday. She gets on, the plane. As far as I'm concerned, with no issues. I'm not getting text messages or calls because I'm, again, off grid. Cell reception is spotty. I'm not getting messages hours later, whatever. So I'm seeing that they're posted every little spotty reception I am in. I could see that she's there. They're having a good time with their friends at the concert, on the boat, blah, blah, blah. Sunday, I'm packing up. I know that my daughter is slated to fly back home. Oh, I forgot to mention this. My daughter lost her ID a few months ago, so she's been rocking out with her passport for identification. So this means that she traveled from Denver to San Diego with her United States passport. Okay, from Denver to San Diego with her passport. Again, I'm unaware that there was any issue because I was out of cell service. I left to Southern Colorado on Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, pretty much flying dark, okay, without any sort of communication. Let's fast forward to Sunday. I get a message from her saying that they're giving me a hard time again. Don't even know what that means. I'm, again, traveling through the mountains, getting spotty service. I try to call her, text her. My text didn't go through. Call was going straight to voicemail. Now I'm traveling. I'm about 4.5 hours away from Denver. And I check her location. It shows her location still in San Diego. And I know from previous conversation, she said that she was slated to return from San Diego around noon, 12:30. Well, it's around that time, and I check her location still in San Diego, which that could happen, if you're on the plane. It still shows that you're at the place you were when you left. Try calling, nothing. Whatever. So that's that. I'm getting a little worried because, she'll always replies. 1:30, 2:30, she should have landed at noon. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe I got the time wrong. So calling, still going straight to voicemail, still shows her location in San Diego. I'm just like, what is this problem? What problem again with, I had no idea what the first problem was. So around 2:00, I start getting really worried. I call my son, who's here in Denver, and asked him if he had heard from his sister. He said, yeah, I'm picking her up from Union soon. I'm like, okay, good. She landed. So she comes home, and I was like, what was the issue? She's like, Mom, she's like, they gave me an issue leaving Denver with my passport. And then in San Diego, they pretty much detained her because they were saying that her passport was invalid. Now, this child has had a passport since she was an infant, okay? She has flown all over the world with us, and I'm just completely perplexed by what she's telling me. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's saying, they were saying that my information is invalid, that they couldn't find me in their system. Her passport doesn't expire till 2032. There's stamps in her passport. They literally made her miss her flight, pulled her into another room, questioned her about her information, didn't know what to do. She said that people on Southwest were extremely gracious and tried to accommodate. They put her on another flight. But yeah. I mean, what is this? What is this? So today I woke up, I'm very concerned with this. And I'm like, you have to call the passport agency, and we're lucky that we live in Colorado. We have one in Parker, Colorado, one of few in the country where you can go and get your passport same day. We have one of those here. I said, you need to get on the phone with them. You need to go down there. You need to figure out what the hell that issue was at the airport, because God forbid my daughter was stuck in a country and this was happening to her in a country. What would they have done? What do you mean there's no information? Her information's not in the system. Like, what is that? This whole thing is infuriating. I talked to my son this morning, who on Sunday boarded a flight from San Diego to Sacramento to go see his father. He said he had no issue with using his passport, but my daughter did. So as of right now, we still have no answers, no idea of what this means, what it could have meant if she were out of country. We have no idea. This is like a nightmare situation. I asked her, I said, what would you have done if they detained you? She's like, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. Call you? And I'm out of cell range. I couldn't have even helped her if she, what is this? Has anybody had this happen to them? What could the reasons be? She's an adult, so she's going to make these calls on her own. But this is scary shit. So anybody who's traveling soon, I would suggest calling to check to see if your passport is valid, whatever that means. I plan on traveling later on this year. I was in Mexico earlier this year. No issue. My son didn't have an issue using it, boarding the plane from San Diego to Sacramento, but my daughter did. So this is happening. This is like a real thing. This is fucking insane. Just be careful. Check your documents. Make sure you have your documents. We're Americans. I don't even know how many generations back we're here, okay? My family came over on the boat. All right, the boat from Europe. So be careful. Have your documents in order. And before you take a big trip, I suggest calling the passport agency or whoever the fuck deals with it and make sure your documents are legit, or your passport is valid, whatever that means.
Well, I don't really know what to say. This is really getting scary. You know what I mean? Like, this is really getting scary. I hope this doesn't happen to me. Like, especially me being an immigrant and all. I wouldn't know how to actually like defend myself because I wasn't born here. It's very, I don't know. Anything can happen to anybody. You can be living in the United States and they go to check up on your information and all of a sudden you don't exist. You know what I mean? But you know what you think about this story down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.